Shall we begin?
So we loved her so much on the show, and on episode 4, we had to bring her back for episode 5 recap because she was the star again, but unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to you, Michelle. Girl. Come sail away.
She's
Come
got the
sail
fan with
away.
her.
Come sail away.
Come sail away. Come sail away with me.
I love that you're such a good sport about this. Yep.
You know
what?
be, and
It's what it is.
I could laugh or I could cry, and I'm not a crier. It is what it is. And, I already shed tears on national TV. I can't do it on a podcast as well.
Well, I've always said, and I feel like you're the same kind of competitor, you win and lose with class, which you 100% did. I could see the frustration and disappointment on your face because you're a competitor, and it was hard to see that all unfold. But for so many reasons, it was hard. Like, yeah, most of us are going to be like taken out by a team game in 99 to beat, and as a competitor, you'd rather go out on your own, like in your own individual challenge rather than a team challenge. But you handled it with such class. But that whole challenge was so frustrating to watch for many reasons. And I want to let you talk about it. But you were a team captain. Talk to us about that process and how and why you made the selections that you did.
Because that was the first time that team captains were introduced, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was the first time for team captains. And I was a team captain, but it was unlike any captain's draft I've ever been involved in my life. And, I don't know how much we're actually supposed to say about that, but I had the last pick every round instead of it snaking back. Normally if you have captains, like, okay, let's say there's 2, you get first pick or you get the next 2. And if you have multiple teams, whoever's last gets the next pick and it snakes back. So the first person doesn't get the first pick every round. And unfortunately, that's not how that played out. And I think that it did play a part because I would have had different selections to make, right? And May and I have talked about this. Like, we realistically probably would have not ended up on the same team had it been that way. Not that I don't want to be on May's team. Please don't take that. Whether she got it done or not, I'm not pointing the finger at her. But we've just talked about how it would have looked different if it had been done as a snake.
That's like how we do fantasy football draft.
About that.
We always snake because it makes it fair, for the people picking at the end. And beyond the edit moment, Aggie, we tried actually to talk to production before we went in for the oh no, I was actually after they announced team captains, they were going to do random team captains. We asked them, hey, when we pick, can we pick where it's start to finish and then you snake back around because that makes it fair? And they actually went back and met about it and then came back out and told us no. So they
that was the next one. That was the next one.
That's correct. Yeah, that was next episode. Yes. And we asked to do that because we saw that lay out with you that way. Yep.
Yeah,
but they didn't change it.
They couldn't because of what happened. They now had a procedure, and I think had our team not lost, they could have changed the format. But because they drafted that way, and then the team that got that last pick every time went out, like if it had gotten back to me, I would have all of a sudden felt like something was unfair, right? Or anyone on our team. And so they did really try to do things fairly. Now, I will say when I got my pick and then they went back to the first person, I was like, wait. Like, I should get the next pick. But that was not a thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Must be an American thing.
I'm not a big, and so I will say, coming from a physical education background, I'm not big on team captains anyway, because everybody has some sort of feeling on it. And when they first said it, I thought for sure they were going to take the 9 captains in the back room or outside and do it. But instead they threw everybody in the middle, and now everybody's watching as people get picked. And so now if you're picked last you have some sort of opinion about that, whether it's on a round or the actual last pick or whatever. And so now you're already feeling some kind of a way about it. And so it was really a tough spot to be in, and I tried to stay really upbeat and positive, and you actually even hear when I, like, bring them in, I'm like, "This is exactly the team I wanted and how I wanted it to play out," because I wanted everyone to feel like I wanted them with me and not that they were stuck with me. And I'm not saying that
Right.
I wouldn't have wanted to compete with those people. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
saying at all. I'm saying I knew that there were going to be emotions to manage with it. And I was
Yeah.
trying my best to manage those from the beginning.
It's interesting because they didn't do this on the UK version. I don't know about the other versions if they had team captains, but they didn't do that in the UK version. Isn't that correct?
Well,
Yeah.
if they did, we did not see it.
Yeah.
Right.
I
But
'cause
they
I don't
never,
I didn't
like,
remember seeing
made
it.
it known.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It and that I when they were announcing team captains, I was, like, just holding my breath. I'm like, "I don't wanna be a team captain. I don't wanna be a team captain." And I was like, "Oh, Michelle. Oh gosh."
You could see it on my face that I did not want it. And I think I was back here, like literally saying out loud, like, don't say my name, don't say my name. And then I'm like, yeah,
Yep. And
you
when they
said my
spoke to
name.
everyone, like, when they were saying, like, who the team captains were, you could see people like, "No!" Like, "Oh, I don't wanna be a captain."
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of
Yep.
responsibility.
But you know what? I have a
And that's
bone to
the
pick
thing,
with
right?
her.
It's a lot of responsibility. With me,
Talk about
I should have picked
yeah,
you,
talk about
first of
emotions.
all.
Do you think, I was standing there when she had her first pick. I'm just saying, Aggie. I was standing there and she went with Grant.
Yeah.
Michelle, I was there. I raised my hand too, like,
Yeah,
"Hey."
I did.
Just
So
kidding.
here's the thing is that, but no, I did you really raise your hand? Because I think if I had seen it
No.
go up, I would have
No.
said you. Because here's also the thing. I'm very short and it was
Huh.
going very fast and I can't even see everyone. And he is like a peacock in front of me. He also stood next to me. He's done well in other things. We've talked strategy a lot. I've only ever seen him calm. I haven't seen anything else from him. And I'm thinking, if I don't take him, where's he going to end up? And so
Right.
and I still think that Grant's a very good competitor, right? Hindsight is 2020.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I just
Oh, yeah.
picked.
No,
You
you
know
would
what I
think
mean? And
yeah.
it was
Hey, again, in these challenges, a
yeah,
lot of it
and
is luck, you know. Any team on a
yeah,
different day could beat
I
another team. That's
still
how it goes.
on
Uh-huh.
paper I still don't think that our team should have lost. On paper,
Yeah.
we're a solid team. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I know that Mariama had been in the bottom quite a few times. I think that
Mhm.
Ken said she had been in the bottom more than
Mhm.
anyone else.
Yes, and
But
she's brought herself out of every single one.
Yeah.
right, she's gotten
So,
herself out of every single
yeah.
one. And also, the rest of us who have been in the bottom have gotten themselves out of things, but we've all performed fairly well. So even if we're thinking it might take a little bit longer, I never expected us to not be able to get it done. You know what I mean? Like it was just that we were going to have we needed a bigger cushion. And so we even like strategized about the order we were going to go in to try to like get us a lead. And like May was very confident. And I feel terrible for May because it was awful for her and it was awful watching back. And
Yeah.
again, we've talked about this. You don't see when people destroy challenges and are so good at it. And May consistently performed. There were like the
Yes.
lunchbox was her other one that was kind of hard for her, but she consistently performed. It was just this one time that she got
Yeah.
tripped up. And so, like, I refuse to just be angry at her because she had one off challenge and act like, she's a terrible competitor and because she's not. She's not.
Y You know, the thing you'd
Yeah.
be upset with somebody if they didn't give their all. That's the thing with me. If you're not trying, I have a problem with
Right.
that. If you're trying and it's just not working for you, it's just not, and that's okay. I had May in my very first team challenge. She was amazing. She slayed it. I would have her on
Yeah,
my team any day because she was good at these games. And so, yeah, I
she
also
was.
that challenge was a little bit it was tough because the way they built it, sometimes the boats were getting stuck, and, if you couldn't get yours, unstuck, they'd have to do it. Would they do yours quicker than somebody else's? I mean, it's just one of those things that played a factor into the game too, for sure. Some of them were leaking, and they had to
Yeah.
stop and, like, recock them and try to get them, so there was a lot of things that played into that just weren't shown, but I was just taken back about the comments that were said about May during that challenge, and I was surprised. I was like, "Oh, I had no idea until the episode aired." How did you feel seeing that? Did you already know that?
So I knew that Grant and I had both been pretty vocal during the first challenge, like the first round, about come back, because our boats weren't just getting stuck, they were getting wedged.
Mhm,
And it was
mhm,
like, it did not matter. Like, and I know there was a trick, but it didn't matter. And so we were trying to get clarification on could we restart? Because that was not a question that had been asked. And then finally I was like, just do it. Cause what are they gonna do? Make us restart? Like,
Mhm.
it is what it is at this point. And so I knew that we had both been vocal, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, thought it was just like coaching and just being loud so we could be heard. That's all it was for me.
mhm,
And watching it back and obviously being able to hear the other mics, I was really taken aback. I did not like it. I have talked to Grant and Rebecca, and they also felt very badly.
mhm.
And I know that they've talked to May and things, and that's been, they've apologized and everything. But I did not like what I saw in the slightest. Um
Mhm.
and it made me feel really bad for May. I didn't like it at all. Now I knew in our post interview that a lot of fingers got pointed at May. Um, I think that maybe I was the only one who didn't talk any trash in our exit interview. Because as the captain, it was my fault that we didn't get it figured out, right? Like that's my job, is to lead my team and to figure it out. And I didn't figure it out quickly enough to be helpful enough to get it done. And that's ultimately how I feel about it. And I know that I've had a lot of people like, you got yours in, and you don't ever take the blame for someone else. But the bottom line is, when you're a good leader, you figure something out and you get the rest of your team through. And I dropped the ball on that. I had been able to coach people through a lot of things this whole time. I mean, I had tons of strategies for people when I was already done. And this just wasn't it. I dropped the ball, and I went backwards the next time. And I should have just from the get-go said that for everybody to try that. Um, and it was not until I was watching that we were still having trouble. I mean, like we got it down, but it wasn't very fast. And so like I started trying to figure out, well, what can I see that other people are doing that seems to be working well? And it was when they flipped the boat around and came the opposite way than you would think that it would go in. And so I lapped Kevin. Kevin was already halfway down the track when I put my boat in, and I got it all the way down and parked
Yeah.
and sprinted back and got May the fan. And Kevin was still kind of in the same spot. So we had a chance. It just didn't happen. It wasn't our day.
Mhm. And that's what it is with team challenges, at the end of the day, everybody can just give their best, but sometimes it's just you can't make the finish line in time, and it does suck when you think about going out on a team challenge, but at the end of the day, you guys all did your best. I just think
Yeah.
about that as well when it comes to mine, and you did amazing, and
Thank
you left
you.
your mark.
Well, you
Thank
handled
you.
it with such class, which I wouldn't expect anything less from you. Um, and that's tough because it was it was very heated. And Grant and Rebecca, they're competitors. And so I think that they just let their
Hmm.
competitive nature get a little, just out of hand, or, however you want to explain that.
Yeah.
I just think that that was it. But I saw May one time, and I ran it back a couple times and I didn't quite hear. Did somebody say something and she said, "Who said it?" Is that what she said? Because then she ran
Oh,
back
I don't
and
know.
grabbed it, and I was like, "Did she hear them?" Because I didn't think that they were really saying it loud enough. I mean, obviously their mic picked up things. I swear I thought I heard her say, "Who said it?" and ran back, and I was like, "Oh gosh, wait, what? Did she actually hear them say that as the game was going on?" Because that's
No,
definitely
I don't.
not gonna help your team.
No, I don't. She was thrown off because she said that, she's not from a competition background. She was a theater kid. And so she wasn't
Mhm.
used to people like yelling at her. And where
Yeah,
she and I had a very solid relationship and spent a lot of time together. And she knew that I was just like trying to get my point across and have her hear me. Like she didn't necessarily feel the same way from Grant. But she said it was from not being raised in that environment with men yelling. And so,
yeah,
like, it wasn't, she also wasn't saying like that he did anything negative. It was just that, like, that's not how she responds,
yeah.
and what she responds to. But I don't, I don't think that that's I in all the times that we've talked, I've never heard her say anything, and I didn't notice that. I think it was just the, like, trying to get the ref to answer if we could start over.
You know, growing up playing team sports and knowing how coaches yell at you, teammates are yelling at you, really gives you an advantage in things like this when you compete on 99 to beat because you're used to that. It doesn't throw you off, just like you're saying with May not being used to that environment. That wouldn't phase
Yeah.
me at all because I was raised around that. I played all these team sports. I had a ton of brothers. Like that's how they handle and do things, and I don't take it personally, but somebody who's not could easily take that personal, and then women sometimes are so sensitive, they can just shut down, where somebody like myself would just fires me up, right? Like, "Okay, I'm gonna show you," but
Yeah.
it's an
I'm gonna
advantage
Well,
for
I
show
mean,
me.
you could
you.
look at it that way, but, like, I played sports growing up and, I had men in my household, but I cannot do the yelling. Don't yell at me when we're trying
Really?
to get something done. Don't do it. Don't do it. Like, that's
Yeah,
just I don't think you should be yelling at me or saying anything that could just, like, kinda tick me off because 'cause we're all trying to we have the same goal. We're all
yeah,
trying to win. So I don't
yeah.
think, sometimes
Well,
yelling just
it's
is
just
a little
just
too
how people
much.
respond differently to stuff, you know? Yeah, some people
Mhm.
need more of that it's just like when you select a school you wanna go play a sport at, you wanna make sure you gel well with that coach and their coaching style, you know? If you don't like being yelled
Mhm.
at, don't go play
Absolutely.
for Bobby Knight, you know? Go play for,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
somebody else. But,
I mean,
yeah, because it can throw
granted, if
somebody
it's
off,
like,
and
"Hustle, hustle, keep going," like, that's
that's
totally fine,
encouraging.
but it's like, "Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, you're doing this wrong?" Then it's like,
yeah.
"Oh, no." Then, like, people just start getting upset, you know?
Well, I just
Yeah.
had
M
brothers,
mine
and
And,
was
well,
they were
that's not
constantly yelling at
something.
me. If I had brothers, they would all constantly yell, "You're
Yeah.
stupid," or "You're this or that," so I would have felt right at home with Grant, okay?
Well, and to be fair, in the moment, I didn't hear any of those comments. I just
Yeah,
heard, try this, you need to do this. And so, like, I had said very adamantly to May, like, I think he was just coaching you. And so then, like, then it was like, I didn't hear the other stuff. But again, I think it was emotions in the heat of the moment. I don't
mhm,
think that it was like intentional. But I am one of those people that you can yell at. Like, I do better. I joke if I mess up in pickleball and my partner's like, "It's okay." And I'm like, "Please don't say that because it's not." And I would do so much better if you would yell at me to get my life together.
yes,
But like I actually Ken and I spoke after the elimination that night, and he gave me the highest compliment someone could give me. And he said a few things, but the one that really sticks out to me is he said that I was the most mentally tough competitor that we had. And that is something I really pride myself on, is like, you're not
mhm,
going to be able to get my head out of the game. And
mhm,
I was a varsity volleyball coach for years at the high school that I taught at. And I used to chirp at my kids. I would play against them and I would go 100% and I would chirp at them and I would just not shut up. And they're like, "You're so obnoxious. Why do you do that?" And I said, "Because if you can play through my mouth, you
mhm,
can play through anything. Like, you're gonna
any
get through
environment.
anything." And it wasn't like I was awful to them, right? But like if I blocked our middle boy, oh my God, she heard about it just from me celebrating, you know what I mean? And I'd be like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm about to crush this ball on you." Like, so it was really like talking smack, not like their character or looks or anything like that. But it was just that no one's gonna talk to you through this
yep,
net and be any more annoying than me. And you're gonna just be able to tune them out. And I've had so
yep.
many kids, well, adults now come back to me and say how that has served them so well because like they're like, my boss is kind of difficult and I just tune them right out because I learned how to tune you out." And I'm like, "You're
Y
welcome." But
when I
I mean,
teach my
that was a big deal. And so to have Ken say that was huge.
yeah, that's a big compliment for him to take the time to say that too. When I taught my brothers, when I taught my
Yeah.
boys to, shoot free throws, I would always do things to distract them constantly, because 'cause I'm like, "You're gonna have to
Yes.
learn to lock in focus with all the chirping going on," so, same kinda thing. However, we've talked
Yeah.
many times about the key to these challenges, though, team challenges on 99 to beat, you have to stay calm. You have to stay calm because things are gonna go wrong,
Yes.
and when you
Hmm.
start to panic is when it starts to
Yep.
unravel, and we've seen that time and time again in every, team challenge, and I feel like that's what went down with you guys,
Absolutely.
and, yeah, I was just a
We
little taken back,
unraveled.
though, by those
We
comments.
did.
Yep,
Yeah. I mean,
yep,
I was too. And it's interesting because you say that about like you needed to stay calm. And this is how I spent the majority of like my camera time. And Diane was like, "You're so blank." And I go, "Well, I'm furious, first of all." And that is like I just have to wipe it all off because I know that my team can't handle what I'm actually feeling right now. And it wasn't going to serve any purpose. And so I just had to keep myself calm, especially because we did have a chance at the end. So I
Mhm.
couldn't be freaking I didn't want to add to the stress that May already had to be feeling getting that fan back and knowing she's tried a couple of times and hasn't been able to figure it out. And that's why I was like, just put it in backwards. You got it because you can hear me. You got it. You're getting it now. It's going like because at that point it was either going to happen or it wasn't and there was no sense in me creating one more stressor for her. So I was trying to stay very calm and unfortunately it just it didn't work. It wasn't our day.
But I am glad to hear that, after everybody did watch the show, they did reach out and, there were apologies that were
Yes.
made, for things that were said that just shouldn't have been. So that's nice that there was some resolution there.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully, I hope May's feeling a lot better after
She
that.
is. She is, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you have any
Okay,
other
but I
final thoughts for the sailboat challenge?
wait, hold on. There was another beyond the
Or
edit
what were you gonna
moment
say,
there
Danny?
though that they didn't show. At
What
the when you guys were coming out with your your elimination with your numbers, there was some little drama that happened right there. Tell us what
there
was going on because I
was.
wasn't even sure. All of a sudden I was like, "Wait, what? Cara Maria and Dakota are you yelling back and forth at some of you guys that were getting ready to be eliminated? What happened?"
So I was not involved. I'm going to just say this because I think that it needs to be said. I thought that Cara Maria was a great competitor. I liked competing with her. I liked competing against her. Not everyone could handle how intense she was. And I don't think that that's something we put on Kara. Like, everybody is allowed to have their own. She's a bit introverted. She doesn't like big crowds, and that's okay in my world. Like, you don't have to. And so, unfortunately, I feel like some people didn't give her that grace, and they thought because she was a celebrity or something that like she should be talking to everyone. I don't know. So from what I understand, because I asked when we walked out, I was like, "What the heck was that?" And also Dakota is lovely too. I talked to him as well. And I had no problem competing with her against him. I thought he was very nice and, whatever. So, apparently it was Mariama stood near them and they're clapping as we all clap when someone gets out. And she felt like they were not being genuine and they didn't really care if she was out. Now, meanwhile, I am friends with both of them and I know that they cared that I got out. So if nothing else, it could have been that they were just clapping for the team. And also, we are being polite and we're clapping for everyone. And so there were comments made back and forth about like, you don't care that I'm out, you're being disingenuous, and it's like, what are you talking about? And it escalated very quickly. Um and so then when I asked Maddie about it when we got out, like I couldn't even really follow because I was like, because it didn't make sense to me because I wasn't there for the whole thing, is essentially it. But she just felt like they would talk smack about other players and then it was like, well, don't clap when they get out. And I mean, I think there's a level to a competition like that. Like, I'm going to be honest, I can respect you as a competitor and be sad to see you go because you're a good competitor, but also be happy that you're out of my way because you're standing in between me and $1 million. And
Yeah.
I think that some people that maybe haven't been in competitive situations, like maybe they don't understand that too. Like, and I trash talk doesn't bother me, right? Like I grew up in the park playing basketball with the boys. You can trash talk me all day. It does not phase me. I'll go right back at you. And so, like, I don't know how much of something is just like, I'm just talking smack, like, because it's fun to talk smack versus like actually like being some type of way. Does that make sense? Because
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
all feeling something. We're all super emotional in that moment. And so maybe something just like hit differently, or maybe it was something that was building up. I would, like I said, I wasn't right
Yeah.
there, and I really only heard one side of it. So like, and I was caught really off guard because just all of a sudden, it was Mariama was yelling when I noticed, and I was like, "What's happening?" And then
Well,
Kara went right back, and I was like, "What
yeah.
happened?" And so like I also understand where Mariam's coming from. If you think someone's actually like happy to see you leave and like cheering, clapping that you're going, like
That
that
would be
would
sad.
suck. I
Yeah.
don't think that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
though, because again, I wasn't a part of that.
well, and I was on the other side of the arena, so I was like, "What? Wait, what? What just happened here?"
Yeah.
You know? And then after you guys left, I don't know if they told you this, um, Erin made the comment about, "I think we need to call in Dr. Phil." So I thought that was kind of
Oh no,
funny.
I was there, and then she's like, "Oh,
Oh, you
forget it. We have Dr. Ken right here."
yeah, okay,
Yeah,
you
we
were
were
in
supposed
there.
to. It was like in between take. Well, because it was like the first take, and then we had to reshoot it.
Yes.
It was
Yeah,
crazy. It was
that's
actually so
yep,
crazy that when
yep.
I was explaining it, it was like my glass eye fell out. What do you mean? Because sometimes, for my
Oh.
eyelid surgery, my eye, like when I pop my eye up, you see too much white, and it's like, yeah, because that scar is still in the like contraction phase. And I said to the doctor, when is this gonna stop? My glass eye. And he was laughing so hard. And I was like, you made me look like I have a glass eye on TV.
That's funny. So, well, we hated to see you
Yeah.
go. You were so much fun, and we love you so much, Michelle.
I appreciate that. I
Thank you
hated
so
to
much
leave
for
as well,
going.
but I was out of the way for you to get to your $1,000,000.
Yeah, but there was other people I was thinking, I was like, "Oh, Lord, I'm out of the way. I wanna keep Michelle around for a while. We need positive people there that can encourage you from the safe zone." So,
Yeah, that's right. And I was there for you. I was there in spirit after, don't you worry.
yeah. So,
But I
well,
do feel
Aggie,
like things
anything
are
else?
left
Anything else?
unfinished and I need redemption.
Yes, you
I
I'm
do.
need
sorry?
You do.
redemption. I said I do feel like things were left unfinished.
Uh-huh.
I need redemption. The one of the first things I told Diane, I don't want to go out on the first day, first challenge, and I don't want to go out in a team challenge. And I
Yeah.
really think that I had a good shot to get, probably top 20, top 15
Yes.
at
Yep.
least. If it's not for the team stuff. And so I
Yep.
just it feels unfinished, and I have to find my next adventure to, put the cap on that.
Yeah. Well, you're such a great competitor. Can't wait to see you compete on something else if that's 99 to beat again or another one. Oh, sign her up. We all want to see Michelle compete.
Yes,
Let's go.
absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. We love having you on the pod, and we can't wait to have you back again. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Michelle.
Thank you for
Yes.
having me. I appreciate you guys.
All right.
Love you. Bye,
Bye,
Michelle.
everyone.